Tony Peterson here with MeatEater. I want to talk about how to not only choose the right training tools and adopt the right technology, because there's a lot of stuff available now, but really understanding how to use it. And an easy way to look at this, even though it might not seem like a very big deal, is to think about bumpers or dummies. If you have any kind of hunting dog, you're probably going to buy some of those. And you might get a cheap, canvas bumper or rubber bumper and be like, that's good enough. Or you might look and there's the deadfall trainers that look like a bird and have the hard head, and there's a lot of stuff in between. But what you really want to think about is, what is that dog learning by using those tools? So with bumpers, at its base level, you might toss that sucker out into the soccer field or into the lake, send your dog and it runs back, and maybe it's got it perfectly between its teeth, or maybe it holds it like a cigar, or maybe it grabs it by the rope, the throw rope. You might not really think about that, but there's a good way to do that and a bad way to do that. So you want a bumper that's going to teach them where to grab that, because if they grab that bumper right in the middle and hold it correctly, that's what you want them to do to that pheasant or that grouse or whatever. So every retrieve is a training opportunity, and you have this tool or you have that tool. And this extends all the way through everything we use for dogs. The next category that's really, really common, and people often kind of misunderstand it even though they think they need it, is e-collars. And if you look at the variance in e-collars now, what they can do as far as tone and vibration and all the different settings, there's a lot you can do with that that's super valuable for communicating to your dog, whether they're 3 feet away in the yard and you're training, or you're out in that soccer field, or you're out in that CRP field doing some real training and that dog gets way out. You want to understand how to use that. And this was kind of driven home to me. I was recently on a little raccoon hunt with Brent Reeves. They set those hounds out and they are gone. They can track those dogs and know right where they are to get to them. It makes the whole process seem like kind of this weird mix between this old school cultural tradition and this new school use of technology. But it's only smart to use the stuff that you have available, because it just enhances the situation, helps you work with your dog better. But it's also a safety issue too. When you think about dogs getting out, a lot of the technology we have available really makes it so your dog doesn't get into trouble, or if your dog does get into trouble, you can remedy that situation way faster, recall them from a highway, or recall them off a porcupine or whatever. And I think a lot of people look at this and go, I got this new dog, I have this lab puppy, I have this setter, whatever, and I'm gonna buy some bumpers, I'm gonna buy maybe a crate, and then maybe, when that dog hits that velociraptor teenage stage where it's biting everything and you can't control it, I'm gonna get that e-collar and I'm gonna light him up so he starts to listen to me. And that's really selling those tools way short, and not taking into account what they're actually meant to be used for and how you can use them to enhance your relationship with the dog and really accelerate your training so your dog's much better in the field and a much better pet companion at home.
Ruby.
Let's say you have a retrieving dog, you have that lab, whatever, and you want to train it to be a good duck dog, right? So you can take that bumper, you bought the right bumper, it's going to teach him how to hold it, but you can only throw that sucker so far. So that dog gets kind of a hard limit for distance in its head on retrieves. And then you're like, well, how do I make this so that dog doesn't do that? If you get that dummy launcher, which you didn't think you needed back in July, and you take it out there and you start working with that dog, and now he goes, well, sometimes it's a 25-yard retrieve and sometimes it's a 75-yard retrieve that sounds like an actual gunshot went off, and it gets closer to the reality of what you're going to be doing with your hunting. That is such a difference maker in how we work with our dogs, how we view our dog's job, and really a lot of us for how cool and calm we can stay when we're working with a dog and we run into a situation out there in the field, whether you're in the CRP or whether you're in the duck boat or whatever, where you can solve for it or help that dog solve for it in a way where we don't lose our temper because we didn't prepare them correctly. And so when you take a look at this just wide market of dog training tools and the technology that's changing every day, think about what you're gonna ask your dog to do. You know, are you only gonna be a duck hunter? Are you gonna be a hound hunter who's gonna let that dog go and it's gonna have 10,000 acres to roam at night in the dark? What do you need for that? What is out there on the market that will help you not only train for that, but keep that dog on the right path when you're out there doing those things you love to do with that dog, which you bought for that purpose. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but it's kind of on us to understand what to buy and how to use it.